Now, let's dig into how this thing spreads. I know that I'm sorry that this is probably scaring the shit out of you. That's really crazy, right? Yeah, Donnie, you're right. Media is making millions on the CPC ads. Absolutely millions. There's a lot of fake news going around right now. I have talked to people, again, guys, I know people who run fake news for a living. I know that that's super fucked up, but I literally know marketers that do that. I know a lot about this world. Let's keep going here. How does this thing spread? I want to clear a lot of this up because a lot of people are really confused on this. This is a respiratory disease, but all current data is pointing to it not being an airborne disease. So it is a respiratory disease, but not an airborne disease. That's very confusing. So I'm going to try to break this down with an analogy to outline the difference between respiratory infection and airborne disease. I'm going to use the analogy of an elevator, okay? So let's say a person with coronavirus is standing in an elevator all alone and they cough and they sneeze. Then they ride the elevator up a few floors, they get out of the elevator. A couple minutes later, you step inside that same elevator. Odds are you are probably safe from contracting coronavirus. Why? Because the droplets that come out into the air are fairly large and dense, they're heavy, they fall to the floor very, very quickly. By comparison, a truly airborne virus, that same person would cough or sneeze, the droplets would float and hang in the air, far less dense, far smaller droplets, not as heavy. They would literally float in the air for quite a while. You could step into that elevator minutes later, walk into that cloud of droplets, breathe them in, and you have an infection. This is the difference between an actual airborne virus, okay? So that's a big deal. Airborne, it's not airborne. As far as we could tell, that could change. Anything I tell you in this AMA could absolutely change, okay? Now, if it's not airborne, that's very good news. The biggest risk factor by far is being within 3 feet of an actual cough or sneeze from another individual. That is hands down the most common way that this thing is going to spread. It is someone going out, coughing or sneezing that you get sprayed with, you get infected. This is why masks are really only effective for people who are already infected. And it's debatable if they're even effective there. We're going to talk about masks in a second, okay? Now, this thing can survive on surfaces, but that's likely not the primary cause of infection, which is why people shouldn't be freaking out about packages from China. If an Amazon package shipped to you from China, I guarantee that took many hours to get to you, and whatever was on that surface is now dead. Don't lick your Amazon package, but you're probably gonna be fine. It's also a very good idea to carry alcohol wipes with you. Everyone is going crazy about Purell, and I'm gonna talk about the difference here, but I suggest you carry alcohol wipes with you into public places. If you're on a plane, wipe down the tray table, wipe down the armrest. If you're going shopping, wipe down the shopping cart with these alcohol wipes, carry them with you, okay? Now, unfortunately, we'll go back to this masks thing. There is no evidence to suggest that any masks are going to keep you from getting infected except one, okay? So I'm going to talk about this because everyone keeps asking me about masks. There is one type of mask called the N95 respirator. This is literally the only type of mask that would have any effect, and it really should be reserved for our healthcare workers at this point. The people who are in the trenches, it's also known as a surgical mask, okay? So surgeons don't get anything into your open body. This is a very serious mask. It's normally fitted to you. It has to fit just right, okay? Now, in many cases, those of you that are running out grabbing these cheap masks from CVS or whatever, these 3M masks, and walking around, the consumer mask can make things worse because they lead people to touch their face far more times throughout the day because they're fidgeting with this uncomfortable mask. They have a mask on and they're moving it around. And wearing a mask, if you've ever painted a house, which I have done, if you are ever wearing a mask, it kind of sucks. You touch it a lot and you adjust it. And when you're talking to people, you adjust it. And your hand is constantly all over your face. They also think that you might be able to get it from getting droplets in the eyes. So your mask is covered. You're adjusting your mask. Your fingers are coming up near your eyeballs. Not a good idea. The mask is really not doing anything for you. Okay, so the mask could make things worse. That's something to really consider, okay? Now, just like all the other experts, I am going to recommend that you be vigilant about proper hand washing. Again, this is spread through the air, respiratory, through droplets, right? But it's still very important that you are vigilant about proper hand washing, very vigilant. Look up how to properly wash your hands. I'm not gonna teach you that here. You're all grown-ups, learn how to wash your hands, right? And I highly recommend carrying alcohol wipes on your person when you're out and about. Now, the alcohol wipe thing, there is evidence suggesting that scrubbing your hands with alcohol wipes is actually more effective than antibacterial gels. Everyone's obsessed with Perel. The thing is, the added friction of the wipes actually helps remove bacteria. So the friction from the fabric of the wipe is helpful. Gels are obviously very slippery. There's not a lot of friction there. Your hands just kind of slip all over each other until the gel dries in the air. That's not necessarily the best thing. So don't be all pissed off if you can't find any Purell in your local store. Go to an automotive store and try to find alcohol wipes. Go into, there's literally companies online that you can buy insulin needles from. They're stockpiled out the ass with alcohol wipes. Go on there and buy alcohol wipes, right? Don't go crazy about going into Walmart and finding Purell. That's really not a big deal. I'm gonna check a couple comments here, make sure that I'm not missing anything. Are there even any alcohol wipes left in the shelves? I don't know, that's the thing. I don't know if many people are going for alcohol wipes. Probably, people are probably going for disinfectant wipes, right? That's people, you got to think about where the average person is going to go. They're going to look for Lysol, 99.9% kills all bacteria, disinfectant wipes. That's what they're going to be looking for. In the pharmacy, I know because I do peptide injections, I get these little tiny square alcohol pads. I don't care if I have to carry 500 of those things with me. I can carry a little box like this with 500 alcohol wipes. You know what I mean? Just go to where people aren't going to go in the stores. Go to the websites that people aren't going to go to buy the things that you need. You see what I mean? Don't do what the masses do. This is literally just like I tell you with nutrition or anything else. Don't do what the masses do. Yeah, sure. If you're not flying, carry a bottle of alcohol with you and bring paper towels. Make your own alcohol wipes. Totally cool. Okay? So let's keep digging in here. I want to talk about risk factors. So there's a lot of risk factors associated with this. And this is why I wasn't really scared of this thing. I'm still not scared of it for me personally. And now I'm scared as shit for the general public. Okay. So the percentage of death in Chinese men who smoked was 8 to 10% mortality rate. Smoking is a huge risk factor. You don't want this thing in your lungs and you don't want previous lung conditions. But here's where things get really, really ugly. Remember when I said that metabolically healthy people like me probably aren't at risk? Well, here are the top known risk factors for serious complications of coronavirus.